Denmark is a Scandinavian country in Europe that happens to be known as one of the happiest countries in the world because of reliable welfare benefits, amongst other things. Today, we have the honor of sitting down with Danish Ambassador, His Excellency Tobias Rehfeld. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I hope I didn't butcher your name there.
No, it's perfect.
As the ambassador of the Kingdom of Denmark, how would you describe your experience in South Africa during your diplomatic tour so far?
Well, I've been here a little more than 3 years now, so it's been, to be honest, a bit of a roller coaster. I came here 1.5 years of pure happiness, just getting to know the country and the region. And then, of course, we were hit by the COVID pandemic. So it's been up and down. In the last 6 months, luckily it's been mostly up. So I would say it's been a really good experience. We're very happy to be here. And I've actually asked to get an extension. So when people ask me, if I'm happy here or not, I can just point that I'm actually here for an additional year. So it'll be 5 years in total. I'm really happy about that.
So you like it too?
I like it. I like it.
That's great. Denmark has made important investments in this country. What are the main fields of interest for Danish investors? And may you highlight some of the companies that are represented?
Sure. Well, I should say that, from the dawn of democracy and until 2010, we gave quite a substantial sum in development cooperation aid to South Africa, simply because to support the new democracy. Since 2010, most of our engagement here has been based on a more trade and investment policies. And we have quite a substantive number of Danish investors into South Africa. I can just mention a few. The world's biggest shipping company, Maersk, is very big in South Africa. I think they are responsible for about 35% of all imports and exports in and out of South Africa. We have a big transportation company as DSV. We have Lego, we have Novo Nordisk, and we have a number of other companies that works in different sectors. A few of the sectors that we focus mainly on, or mostly on at the embassy, are renewable energy, the water sector, and agriculture to a degree. So I would say Danish investors are in all different sectors of the South African economy, and we want, of course, to get more investors into South Africa.
As a tourist destination, what points of interest would you recommend for South African travelers when visiting your country?
Well, visiting my country or visiting South Africa?
Visiting your country.
Visiting my country, all right. Denmark is quite a small country when you compare to South Africa. So you can basically see, the entire country if you want in just a week's time. We have some wonderful cities. Copenhagen is quite famous for its architecture, for its design, for its safety. You can roam the streets of Copenhagen at any given time during day or night. And it's really a lively city. But the same goes for our second biggest city, Aarhus. And then I would recommend people to go to the countryside, go to the water. Denmark is basically a country of 400 islands. It's an island state. So, we are very close to the sea, and so much of our art, music, architecture is inspired by the sea and living close to the ocean. And then, of course, there are other parts of the kingdom. So people tend to forget that Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Faroe Islands is part of the kingdom. And of course, those are some of the most beautiful sites in the world for other reasons than Denmark. So if you want to be adventurous, you should really go to Greenland or Faroe Islands.
Nice. Sounds cold.
It's very cold. It's extremely cold. For South Africans, it's
just like...
I send some of my staff to Denmark for courses, and if it's during winter time, they don't speak to me for 2 weeks after having returned.
No, I probably wouldn't either.
No, they just hate me. But May to September, that's good.
Okay. As South Africans, we have it most of the year, so okay.
Yeah.
So Diplomatic missions have proven to be a source of business at the cities that they're based in, and they have a positive impact on the country, the host country's economy. What would be the best way to engage with your embassy should anyone be interested in offering any services or products?
Well, it's very easy. We have all our contacts information on our web page. We are very transparent in what we do. We have a web page, a Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter. We're very easy to communicate with us as an embassy. And of course, everyone can just reach out on the given contact informations that are there. But I would say, as an embassy, of course, we generate business and income. I mean, at the Danish embassy, we have 15 local staff working and so on. But I think much more importantly is what can we do to drive investments, job creation in the broader sector. So how can we bring in Danish investors? How can we in our conversations with South African decision makers explain what is helpful for our companies and what is less helpful for our companies? I think that kind of honest and frank discussion between friends like Denmark and South Africa is much more effective in driving the economy than what we as a medium-sized embassy can do to boost the local economy.
So for South Africans who are wishing to engage commercially with the Kingdom of Denmark, is there a Chamber of Trade office that one may contact? And also, please, could you mention any other platforms where one might find information related to business and trade with your country?
Sure. Well, first of all, I should say that the embassy itself has quite a large team working on trade and investments. So we have 6 persons in the team working, local staff, posted staff. Their sole mission is to help Danish companies that want to invest into South Africa or South African companies that want to invest into Denmark. So in that sense, we can only recommend anyone who wish to do that to reach out to the embassy itself. And then we can provide further assistance. But of course, there are a number of different ways. There's also a Nordic South African trade chamber in South Africa. There's a huge setup in Copenhagen, in Denmark, to welcome foreign companies that want to invest into Denmark. It's actually called Invest into Denmark. So there's a number of different ways to do that, but the logical starting point would just be to reach out to the embassy.
Okay. Seems simple, no?
It's very simple. Yeah. It's almost too simple. When I think about it.
Yeah. Ambassador, what type of future do you foresee for this continent and country? And will Denmark have an important role in it?
Thanks for that question, the difficult question. Now look, the potential is enormous. And we've been saying that for years, if not decades. Enormous for South Africa and enormous for the continent in its entirety. It's one of the only places in the world where you have a youth dividend. It means you have an enormous, unlimited potential for growth. Yes. But of course, the trick is, how can we unleash that? How can we make that potential happen? You have to look. You can look at it in different ways. The fact that we will have an additional 1.2 billion people on the African continent within the next 20 years. Is that a problem? Or is that, a huge potential for positive change? So first of all, we have to make up our minds. Is it either or is it a combination? And secondly, we simply need to generate growth on the African continent. And the best way of doing that, in my mind, is to help democracy take root, promote human rights in all its forms, generate a situation where the government, labor, and business are working together to enlarge the pie, not fighting over an ever-shrinking pie. So a lot of this has to do with the policy choices that have been taken by the South African or the African policy decision makers. Of course, as friends, we can advise, we can, give our perspective. But in the end, it's up to the African decision makers to generate a framework where investments are seen as easy and where you can attract foreign investors into South Africa. or into the continent. So, there's a huge potential, but whether that is unleashed, that is something that is dependent on decisions taken here. Yeah.
That's true. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
the end of it.
That is the end of it.
I'm off on the weekend now.
Thank
you very much. Yeah.
That was simple.
Excellent.
Not too hectic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.